Buenos días a todos los que se conectan a CIE Chats. El día de hoy hago la introducción en español. Vamos a tener una mesa redonda vamos a hablar de la revitalización de los ecosistemas de emprendimiento social. Tenemos dos invitados internacionales y debido a que el proyecto y las iniciativas que estamos presentando son en inglés y los invitados principalmente nos van a compartir en inglés, vamos a iniciar este CIE Chat en inglés. A partir de este momento, si las personas que necesitan apoyo en castellano, pues nos pueden pasar sus observaciones por el chat y miramos cómo dentro del equipo podemos ayudarnos a traducir si es necesario, sus preguntas o observaciones. A partir de este momento, in English. Welcome to our CIE Chat. Today we are joining here to discuss about revitalization of social entrepreneurship ecosystem. How are you today? How are you feeling today? I find many friends of CIE Chat. How are you about today, Indira? How are you today, Lilibet? Indira, how are you feel today? How are you feel, Lorena? How are you feel, Mr. Garcia? This is a good friend of CIE Chat and a good friend and best friend of the Centro de Innovación y Emprendimiento of Unimagdalena. Nobody is...
I'm feeling fine, thanks.
Samsung, Mr. Garcia, okay.
Thank you, Gerardo. Feel good.
We need... We have the move, we have the attitude. Okay, we're here to generate a space for sharing and discussion of significant experiences in the revitalization of social entrepreneurship ecosystem. Our first guest is Mr. Abel Diaz Gonzalez. Abel Diaz Gonzalez holds a PhD in business economics from the Solvay Business School at the Vrije University Brussels in Belgium and is adjunct professor of social entrepreneurship at Vesalius College. Mr. Philippe Eiselen is the coordinator of Belgium Impact. Mr. Eiselen is a PhD student at the Department of Business at the Vrije University Brussels. His research focuses on the business model and scalability of social entrepreneurship under the supervision of the Professor Dr. Benchen. The next presentation is called by Abel Diaz Gonzalez. It's a brief presentation of Elanet Network. The Elanet Network is a social entrepreneurship initiative that supports social entrepreneurs to the which Unimagdalena belongs to. Now, I will the micro to Abel, who is going to introduce us to this wonderful global effort.
Thank you, Gerardo, and good morning, everyone. For me, it's a wonderful, a great pleasure to be here today, broadcasting this or joining this chat from Unimagdalena, from the beautiful building of the Entrepreneurship Center. And as Gerardo was mentioning, we are visiting today the university, yesterday and today, because we are, let's say, having meetings with all the partners from the Elanet network, the Elanet project. And today, for this brief introduction, I want to share a little bit more about this project and to, of course, extend to you a very warm invitation to join and to be tuned in with the activities of Unimagdalena as a member of this project. So let's start a little bit explaining of what Elanet is. Elanet is the European Latin American network in support of social entrepreneurship. And to give you a little bit of the context, this project emerged a few years ago as a project idea with the objective to create or to consolidate an international network to exchange best practices among university members, amongst which we have Universidad del Magdalena. Here in Colombia, we have 5 universities, and I will present to you the members in a moment. And the idea of this project is to have an international platform that reunites social entrepreneurs and their cases, but also universities and other members of the local ecosystem to create a way to exchange best practices, to share resources, knowledge, and different type of competences from the social entrepreneurs and from the partners. Here we can see the different members of this consortium. As I was mentioning, the coordination of the project is at VUB, the university I'm representing today. In Colombia, we have 5 members: Universidad del Magdalena, Universidad del Norte, Universidad de la Sabana, CESA en Bogotá, and Universidad Tecnológica de Bolívar. And we have 2 partners in Ecuador, 2 partners in Bolivia, and 2 partners in Peru, and 5 partners in Europe. The project at the moment is looking for inspiring cases of social entrepreneurs. So we are advocating now, we are looking to see who are the social entrepreneurs, but also we are making a call to students, to university faculty members, and to university staff to join this project, to be seeing the activities, and to, of course, looking forward to create a big community of people that are willing to support social entrepreneurs and their ambitions. How can you join ELANET? It's very easy. For the moment, social entrepreneurs who has an inspiring case can go to the platform. Here you see at the bottom of the page, the ELANET website. Follow us on the social media, and of course, you have the support of Universidad del Magdalena and this center that they are currently leading one of the working packages focused on how to engage the university stakeholders, external actors, and external stakeholders to support social entrepreneurs. So please come to us, come to talk to us to see how can you be part of this initiative. We are currently also looking forward to understand the context of social entrepreneurship, their needs, and the capacities of universities to support them. So this is a small, let's say, advertisement to join on this survey that we are currently performing. It's a 20-minute survey dedicated or looking forward to have social entrepreneurs, but also members of the universities, students, faculty, and staff. It's about 20-minute survey, and we really need your support on this specific study. Here on the bottom of the page, it's the link for the survey. I will also put it in the chat. And we will have at the beginning of September, the Social Entrepreneurship Summit. This year, due to or because of the conditions related to the pandemic, the summit will take place again online via Zoom. You are all invited also to have a look at the Zoom at the conference. Very soon we will have online the conference program. This summit, which is a fun fact, the first edition of the summit took place here in Magdalena in 2019. And it was a wonderful event, and we were looking forward to continue doing the summit in an offline setting. But okay, it will take place this year via Zoom. And the summit, the purpose of the summit is to have a variety of people participating. So we will have academics, we will have social entrepreneurs, we will have practitioners. So please have a look, and if any of you are interested to participate, you can also join this summit. And now it is my pleasure to give the floor to Philippe Esselen, who is also my colleague at VUB. And Philippe will be talking about the revitalization of social entrepreneurship ecosystem through the lens or through the case of Belgium Impact. And Belgium Impact that Philippe will be explaining during the following minutes was one of these initiatives that inspired the ELANET idea. So with no further ado, thank you very much for being here on this chat, and I look forward to the Q&A session after our presentations. So I'll give the floor to Philippe.
Thank you very much, Abel, for this wonderful introduction. And I would also like to start to thank Gerardo and his team for the amazing hospitality that I've received. And yes, I'm very happy as well to be here in the beautiful Santa Marta. I'm really jealous of your view and the possibilities that you can have here to work in a very inspiring setting. As Abel was saying, today I will be sharing my experience in a very brief and concise manner on how and what Belgium Impact is all about. And hopefully by doing so, I can inspire you to participate to the Elanet project as well. So maybe for starters, a little bit of a context on what is Belgium Impact and what are we doing and why do we do it. In a first instance, we would like to clarify that what is a social entrepreneur? Right? There are many definitions, there are many discussions going on for the last 3 decades. And for us, the most inclusive definition you can use for what is a social entrepreneur, well, it is those companies or innovations whose governance allows the primacy of societal impact. So son aquellas empresas o innovaciones que tienen como objetivo la primacía del impacto social. That's for us really what a social entrepreneur is all about. You have many different approaches to it. But we believe that if you want to find inspiration or you want to really include good examples of people making a change to society, a positive change, you need to have a 180 degrees perspective. And why do we look at social entrepreneurs? Well, we look at them because they can have a lot of contributions towards society. For a lot of problems, a lot of social problems that currently exist in societies across the world, social entrepreneurs do come up with innovative solutions, with new business models, new ideas. And because of that, they come up with sometimes very paradoxical or very, very strange, but completely different ways of doing business. And doing so, they come up with these new business ideas that can alleviate poverty or that can empower women to get out of the poverty line or to become more independent, as for example, one of the most classical examples was Mohamed Yunus with the microfinancing idea back in, I think it was in 2006, that he even received the Nobel Peace Prize together with his social enterprise, Grameen Bank, for that idea, for that concept that now went worldwide. So this is just one example, of course, but social entrepreneurs truly catalyze social transformation. They are at the forefront of creating new opportunities for people to be included in society. And for example, they are very often also found at the bottom of the pyramid or in subsistency markets. So social entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs is equal to innovation, change, positive change, and developing new ways of becoming more sustainable. And that's why we're so interested in them and why we launched something with Belgium Impact. But the biggest challenge that we noticed over the last, 5 years from the start of my PhD, but also over the last 3 years since we started working on the Belgium Impact concept, is that social entrepreneurs have a variety of challenges. And first, for example, is, maybe it's a question I can ask to anyone who's watching this, is that the first time I would hear about the concept of social entrepreneurship, it's very strange because it's something that we're not used to. Usually we would think, okay, either you are a for-profit company, you're a multinational, what you do is to make money, you're doing business, you're selling products or services, and that's it. Or you're, for example, a non-profit organization and you try to do something good, you try to achieve a social mission, and you try to collect money through donations or through subsidies or through governmental support, and that's it. So if you then have this concept of a social entrepreneur, which means that you try to achieve a social mission, but at the same time, you are developing business methods to achieve that social mission, it may seem odd, it may seem even a paradox, because thinking in a way of an entrepreneur and thinking in a way of a non-profit might be different or might even create, let's say, tensions. So if you yourself are then presenting as a social entrepreneur, for most people, it will raise questions of legitimacy. To what extent is this truly something innovative and new? And because of that, of course, there are a lot of challenges in terms of financing, getting the right funding or the right support from people, developing the network with different types of stakeholders that believe in the project and want to support you. The fact that you as a social entrepreneur have to constantly balance the achievement of both social and commercial objectives. And of course, that if you are indeed trying to, bridge two worlds, you need quite a lot of skills, managerial skills. And because of all of this, even if you would then, somehow convince stakeholders that you are a social entrepreneur, the biggest challenge they then have is, well, one of the biggest challenges they then have is that they have to increase their results, right? People kind of expect social entrepreneurs and to not just stick around with, for example, helping 10 people, but for the next month or the next year, at least, the results should be doubled or should be tripled even sometimes. And all of these expectations, these perceptions, these, managerial organizational challenges put a lot of strains on the potential of social entrepreneurs. And these things were, being discussed back in July 2018 during a roundtable discussion with none other than His Majesty the King of Belgium. He got word by visiting several social entrepreneurs throughout the country. He got word of what was missing, what is going on, that there is a lot of potential. And he actually invited several experts around the table, amongst which my promoter, Professor Denchev, and they were then brainstorming about the question, okay, what should we do to ensure the future of social entrepreneurship in Belgium? What is needed for the next steps? And then entered, well, the platform. The idea was that with Belgium Impact, we would be able to tackle two root issues that will cause all of these challenges we just mentioned. On the one hand, we notice that there's all of these, silent heroes, social entrepreneurs working hard behind the screens, trying to make a change, but no one really knew about it. I have to be honest, even myself, when I did my studies as a commercial engineer at the VUB, it was only at the end of my 5 years of studies that I started to hear about the concept of social entrepreneurs. And I was not even aware that there are hundreds, thousands of them in my country, which is a bummer, because if I would have known this when I was a student, I would have been able to be more engaged with them and try to help them, That was one challenge. And the other main root issue that we wanted to tackle with Belgium Impact is this fragmentation that currently exists in Belgium of the whole ecosystem, of all the different types of stakeholders and support that social entrepreneurs could have. It is very much like silos, if you want. Everyone has his or her networks, and it's very locally or even regionally determined. And there was not really, exchanges between actors well, my country is relatively small. So even, for example, on 30 kilometers or 40 kilometers distance, people didn't know about each other, which is very, very, very sad, of course, in terms of missed opportunities or potential partnerships. So that's then what we wanted to do with Belgium Impact, is to really inform, inspire, and create those interconnections or interactions amongst people, to really give the floor to the social entrepreneurs, to get them the opportunity to know each other and know about what's going on in their direct environment, but also above or beyond their direct environment. And that's what we've been focusing on since July 2018. And in June 2019, we actually launched the very first platform version on the 24th of June, if I remember correctly. So when we launched this platform, we wanted to look for cases that really inspire. So social enterprise that really, let your jaws drop and really give you an impression of, wow, okay, this is something innovative, this is something new, this is something that works. And we used a couple of criteria to determine which one we could represent and we could put on the platform. So for us, of course, it's very important that, well, since it's Belgium Impact, that we, of course, have social entrepreneurs who have their headquarters situated in Belgium. Their activities can be in Belgium or outside of Belgium, as you will see later on. And at least they need to exist for 1 year, more or less. This is like a very soft criteria, because sometimes we see some social entrepreneurs who grow so quickly that even after a couple of months, we already put them on the platform because, well, they're just, you know, they're like rockets. They just know how to quickly connect and create an impact. But this was like, these are the starting criteria. And then, of course, for us, since we want to give inspiration to others, entrepreneurs or other people, there needs to be a certain degree of innovation that is clearly determined, that they can really show like, okay, this is a part of the business model or the service or the product that is innovative and that truly can contribute towards a change to society, that can create an impact. And these things need then to be felt, it needs to be seen throughout the whole governance of the organization, as well as through the social mission statement and the actual results, the accountability that social entrepreneurs can provide us with on an annual basis. So these are the criteria we then use to select cases. Of course, any kind of social entrepreneur can apply to Belgium Impact. And when we get them, it is not because, well, if they're getting on the platform, that's good. But at the same time, no matter what, if the criteria was, if they passed the criteria or not, or if the jury members were convinced or not, they will get support and the right help for their specific needs at that moment of sending their case. All of this was made possible because of one key strength of Belgium Impact, which thankfully is also visible. And I'm you know, really tipping my hat towards everyone that is involved in Elanet, especially towards the leadership of Elanet, is because this is for us the main strength of Belgium Impact, is the fact that we work in a transdisciplinary fashion. We really were able to bring together 25 stakeholders, partners, ambassadors, even if you want, from different sectors. We have social entrepreneurs, we have university research centers, we have financial actors, we have one particular law actor that is very closely involved with us, people representing the government, as well as incubators or network organizations. All of these different people come together with a shared vision or a shared set of values in the belief that Belgium Impact is needed. And through Belgium Impact, we will be able to foster a more vital, a more vibrant ecosystem that can support social entrepreneurs. And this is something that I'm truly, you know, happy to see that also happens at Elanet. Now, maybe more technically speaking, like what is inside the platform of Belgium Impact? Well, we build it at the start with 5 pillars in the back of our mind. So just like Elanet, we have this idea of, okay, we need to bring the stories of innovative social enterprises to the forefront. All their stories need to be easily accessible and needs to be easily found for students, for investors, for other social entrepreneurs, for governmental bodies, for, I mean, pretty much any kind of stakeholder that has an interest in a social enterprise or in people from a certain region can be found here. That's the first pillar. Second pillar was then this full ecosystem mapping. For example, as an anecdote, we were receiving still 2 or 3 years ago letters, literally letters at the Royal Palace from people who had startup ideas, very good social entrepreneurial startup ideas, but didn't know where to go, which honestly speaking for me was very strange because, well, after 5 years doing my research as a PhD student in Belgium, I had the feeling or I had the perception that everyone knew more or less the full ecosystem, but it wasn't. So we then thought, okay, as a second pillar, instead of people having to, you know, go through weeks or months of work to try to find and connect the right kinds of people or find the right kind of resources or support, they don't have to. They can just go to the website and they will find 100 supportive organizations throughout the country that can provide them with all kinds of help. And that was the second pillar. And as let's say the third and the fourth pillar are more based on this idea of sharing, right? As well on an anecdotal basis. I had the pleasure, by the way, also to write a book, to co-write a book actually with Abel and with our promoter and a couple of colleagues and friends on the financial needs of social entrepreneurs. And okay, we were writing this book, we worked on it, we were very happy, and we didn't necessarily know about all the books that all the other actors in the ecosystem were writing on. And yet again, this was also something that we noticed at the Royal Palace, is that when we receive people, when we see people, everyone brings along their books, but no one knows about all the other ones. So this idea of, okay, let's then centralize this knowledge. Let's centralize then all these books and papers that are relevant on social entrepreneurship, this research avenues, the events that are useful or necessary. Let's all put this together in one place. So people don't have to look in 100 websites, but they can just find it all here. And as a final point of pillar for Belgium Impacts, it was important to also connect all these different people with one another. As what was mentioned earlier on, this fragmentation issue was seriously felt throughout the country. And of course, we want then start to organize activities, webinars, events that can bring all these actors together and offer more opportunities. So just to give you an idea on the slide that you can see here on the upper right, these are only the social entrepreneurs from Brussels. Just in downtown Brussels, these are all kinds of social entrepreneurs in different kinds of sectors, working on biodiversity, developing circular business models, offering education opportunities for poor kids, both in Belgium as well as abroad, in the energy sector, waste, IT, I mean, you name it. And by having this 180 degrees view, this 180 degrees perspective, as I was mentioning before, we were able to really gather a lot of different call to actions or inspirational messages from the social entrepreneurs themselves. And I mean, if you then go to the website and you find this, it's then much more easy to engage with this more sustainable approach of business than before. Just to give you one story, one particular story, as an illustration of, well, we have more than 300 cases, but this is just one of them, is the story of Olivier van den Einde from Close the Gap, who actually started as a student 20 years ago almost. He started as a student in the cellars of our alma mater. He was also from the VUB, coincidentally. And yeah, he started collecting laptops and computers that were going to be burned by bigger companies because multinationals were scared of leaking sensitive data. And these computers were actually working fine. Even though they were only 3 years old, they were working fine. So he said, like, okay, look, instead of burning these things, how about you donate these computers to us? You buy a very cheap fee for the professional cleaning of sensitive data that is on the laptop. And we will then, of course, take care of the rest. We will then ship it off to social or educational projects in Africa, in Latin America, in Asia, and we will, put those materials to good uses. He has been doing this for more than 20 years. He went international. He started with a very simple project in the cellars at our university, and 20 years later on, well, I mean, this guy went completely international. I think it's in the millions of products that he has been able to salvage and give a second life and even a third life, because he also then started to develop new businesses that really gives a full circular approach to this idea. Yeah, I can give you a full story explanation if you want, but I will just wrap it up here. This is just one story, one person that can truly show you that there are innovative, sustainable approaches to doing business, and that identifying these kinds of opportunities can start very humble, but can become very, very, very impactful over time. And we have more than 300 of these kind of stories working either at a local, regional, or national or international level. So that was one of the first pillars. And the second pillar, as I was mentioning before, giving the opportunity to social entrepreneur to find more easily the right advice, the right kind of coaches or expertise, networks, partnerships, platforms, is something that has been growing over the last 2 years and has becoming more and more useful. And yeah, simply put, something as, again, that I noticed through my PhD journey is, instead that everyone has to go, reinvent the wheel as old times and have to go through the same waters as I did and have to find everything by themselves, putting everything together on a platform that is consistently being supported by several types of stakeholders gives a more fluent ecosystem and offers more opportunities to more quickly grow as a sector as a whole. And I was saying the different types of topics, by the way, is also quite broad on the platform. So in the library, you will find topics that are related to education, to management skills, scaling strategies, financial needs, which is all of these are useful for practitioners, for academics, entrepreneurs, even governmental actors, you name it. I would sincerely offer you the opportunity to go have a look. I think we have now more than 100 sources on the platform. And of course, we're continuously looking to expand this knowledge source. Just to round it off, how has this story evolved over time? So all of this started 3 years ago with one roundtable discussion. A roundtable discussion with the king, with several partners in the field, to see like, what can we do? Enter, well, the Benjamin of the group, because I was the youngest person of the whole group, who proposed then the idea of, okay, let's build a platform. Let's build a platform, let's launch it, and let's see what people think of it. Let's see how it can further evolve. And 2 years later, here we are. I'm still working on it. I'm still coordinating it. It's now a network of more than 400 stakeholders. We were able to actually have last year a webinar with not only His Majesty the King, but also with the Nobel Peace Prize winner, Mohamed Yunus, who also came to talk to us and give us his, well, in a way, his blessings of our ideas and what we're doing. And yeah, as of this year, we also officially set up the organization because we saw a lot of now new opportunities to grow and to further develop the business and grow as even internationally to inspire cases such as Elanet across the globe. So we think that creating these types of platforms like Belgium Impact, like Elanet, offers a lot of opportunities. There are a lot of benefits to it. It gives you the opportunity to really develop a strong community where there is a lot of trust and a strong interconnection amongst, let's say, complementary but similar people, or maybe even sometimes not similar people, but there is a complementarity and there are opportunities to create synergies. And because you have this sharing opportunity of challenges, of resources, of projects, you actually give the opportunity to social entrepreneurs to improve themselves and become more and more competitive in the markets. And because of that, well, you create new dynamics and you can truly catalyze social transformation or social change. So just as a reflection, as a final note, please never consider that don't take anything for granted. Never consider that you are not enough or that you will not be able to make any impact or contribution. I mean, I also only started with a simple idea of creating a platform, and here I am 2 years later coordinating a whole network organization. There are a lot of opportunities out there. And most of the time, people are actually looking forward to link with one another, to match with other people and find this way of adapting society to a more sustainable future. So please don't be discouraged. Please go ahead and reach out to one another. No matter what you think that is your contribution, big or small, please try and see how you can fit in. And but of course, I mean, don't forget, you will constantly have to look for funding and for partners, and there's constantly this search efforts that you will have to do. And as I was saying, well, I like this quote a lot, but if you want to walk alone, very fine, you will go very fast. But for projects like this, for truly creating such an impactful project, you will have to work together, because then you will actually be able to go very far. And that's it. That's what I would want to, give you as an impression. Imagine this map of Belgium with all of our social entrepreneurs. Imagine if you would have this, but then in Colombia, and you could then even further visualize what truly is the impact of social entrepreneurship in this beautiful country. I'm sure that people are going to start reflecting on what this means and what this can be. So on a final note, thank you very much. I really would want to invite you all to have a look at Belgium Impact, but also definitely have a look at Elanet, have a look at how you can contribute or be inspired by it. And if you have any questions, if you have any suggestions, any reflections, any ideas, please let me know. if you want, I will do my best to understand it in Spanish, but otherwise I will definitely look at my colleague Abelito for well, translating purposes, or to any one of the team here. But I'll be listening, and I thank you very much for your attention, and I'm happy to discover all of your entrepreneurial endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you, Philip. Continuing with our CIE chat, now is the time of a couple of questions to get close to understand what implies a real revitalization of the social entrepreneurship ecosystem. It has also known that from Entrepreneurship and Innovation Center, we must know the needs that social entrepreneurs are facing, because we are using methodologies to know that, but more than this, to establish a permanent conversation with social entrepreneurs in order to understand which support they are demanding more. In this way, we will help to them to reach scalability, sustainability, and visibility. As a university, we will never have all the capabilities to fulfill the support needed by the social entrepreneur. But we have to work with action to create vital tools to help them to overcome the urgent needs. In this context, I have two questions for both. I propose first the answer of Philippe and the next to Evo. My questions are: how to create and offer services that add value to the social entrepreneur? And the second question is, which ones taking into account cultural differences could be those services transferable to Latin America in the framework of Belgium Impact and Internet? I propose that Philip the first, and the second opportunity is for Evo. Is your micro, Philip?
Thank you very much, Gerardo, for that very interesting question. I think if you want to truly offer something meaningful to the social entrepreneurs in terms of services, what we did is that we are constantly in an engagement process with the social entrepreneurs themselves. So yes, we also did, for example, research activities at the beginning to understand like what are their needs and what are their current issues and what are their current challenges and so on and so forth. But on a more interactive and a more iterative process, we try to constantly touch base with the social entrepreneurs, with different social entrepreneurs from the whole set, and ask them, okay, so for example, we're gonna now launch a new activity, what we call, for example, the blind dates. The moment where they can very, in an informal setting, get together and get to know other types of social entrepreneurs. So the first idea that we launched there was, for example, okay, let's just make it truly a blind date, and you put social entrepreneurs together who don't know each other. You don't know if it's in the same sector. You don't know even if they speak the same language, because by the way, in Belgium, you have the northern side that speaks Dutch and the southern part that speaks French. You don't know. You don't know if they're very young, very old, they're already advanced or not. And we just, we tried it. We did trial and error with these kind of activities. And by constantly talking with the social entrepreneur and, getting these feedback loops, we were able to, refine the activities that truly were important for them. And we start to understand more, better what really can offer value to them. But I don't think it's not necessarily the typical activities that we offer to them that is important, but it's this constant interaction and engagement that is important. And that is truly something I think that is lessons learned that I can give to you for Elanet, which most likely is going to make your project very successful.
Evo?
Yes, I fully agree with Philippe and his approach. And I think I was a little bit reflecting on the question, and we need to depart that the needs that social entrepreneurs may have are different depending on where they are. But there are a certain type based on the scientific literature. There are a specific group of challenges. All of them are facing. There might be challenges related to financing, challenges related to the access of resources, challenges related to the lack of training or specific knowledge. And basically, my reflection will be first to understand who they are. I mean, to whom are they going to be working? Who are those social entrepreneurs that are close to you, close to this, for example, university, and to see what do they really need. And that, as Philippe was mentioning, you need to get close to them. You need to see what are they expecting from you, because you might be designing services here that might be useful for them, but this is not their first type of needs, or those services will not address their specific needs. So this is my first advice, to really work with them, to really see what are the specific needs they have in this context, and to see also and to discuss and to exchange with other universities or with other centers like this, what are, for instance, their best practices, and to learn from their best practices what type of challenges did these universities face in terms of designing the services. Because you were talking about, for instance, cultural differences or specific, the specific, let's say, needs of this region. And perhaps what one university in Colombia or one university in Bolivia or one university in Argentina was organizing or doing could be also applicable here, despite of the cultural differences or despite the idiosyncrasies of people in all these regions. So I think also to exchange those best practices, to open spaces like this, to openly discuss and to see what lessons are learned, what challenges did they face, how did they address the challenges in terms of the design of the services. I think it's also very useful to create that portfolio of services that might be useful for the social entrepreneurs.
In this part of the CIE Chat, the attendees will have the opportunity to intervene, asking questions to both guests. In this moment, I give the microphone to Mr. Garcia to participate and maybe share his knowledge with our guests. Mr. Garcia, the micro is for you.
Felipe, Abel, very inspiring your comments and the information you have given. This region of the country is basically oriented towards agro-industry and tourism. And taking into consideration those factors, those will be places where a lot is needed, and where social entrepreneurship could work in order to solve some of the situations that we have there. But also, I want to address what Gerardo was saying, because it's quite important for you in Europe to understand that differences in terms of cultural matters, and also the information. For example, I used to work talking about agro-industry in the palm industry, and in Europe is being providing information that is not exactly according to the reality of what we have here. We have formal work, we have environmental procedures, we have all the controls that we need. So understanding those differences, let's go to the solutions that we can combine both ways of thinking. And one, for example, would be, and I will say that the Universidad Magdalena should address the point and maybe try to organize something, is the used cooking oil, for example. With a used cooking oil, we have circular economy, we have, let's say, a more environmental friendly industry. We can combine both points of view of the different, let's say, cultures. And also, for example, I always had the dream of having a fisherman co-op in the area of Tasajera. I don't know if you came from Barranquilla or just arrived here to Santa Marta, but it's a very poor region, and their basic strength is being fishermen. But they need the cold chain, so if it's that correct word, to say that the refrigeration that is needed, and the knowledge of how to sell their products within the domestic market. Just two ideas of things that we can work with the university in organizing new enterprises and going to social entrepreneurship, because I do believe that that's the way to solve a lot of the problems that the country may have. Thanks a lot again for the inspiring.
Raul, thank you for sharing this, and I truly believe, and this is a conversation we had with Gerardo and his team yesterday. I truly believe that in fact universities are embedded in an ecosystem organically. Universities provide, let's say, I will call it a service to society, which is education, but the university also are generating knowledge. And that generation of knowledge and that embeddedness in the local ecosystem, that connection, organic connection with industry, with other academic partners, with the government, makes university has a privileged position. And that privilege comes also with an accumulated knowledge of what is happening in the context of, let's say, Santa Marta. You were mentioning, of course, the neighbor areas of Santa Marta. I showed this to Felipe because Felipe, it's the first time he visits Colombia. And this is what I meant. Perhaps you have given a good illustration. This is what I meant to the understanding of the local problems and the local needs. Perhaps we know the context and we know the frameworks on how social entrepreneurs emerge, how social entrepreneurs work. We understand what type of, let's say, challenges do they have, but only the university and only the people from here understand this context, understand their environment. And this is one of the first steps we need to see and we need to really understand in order to design those basic services or those basic support that they might be demanding. Of course, this university, I am sure, is not the first time, has been working with people from the city or the people from the small regions like Tasajera or all these activities. There has been, and Gerardo was telling me that there were in the past some activities done with them. But of course, when we see people trying to address this type of problems, we need to go a little bit back and see that social entrepreneurs, they work and they aim to address those what we call weak problems of society. Those are huge problems like poverty, hunger, pollution, gender equality. Those problems are too complex. Those problems are not going to be solved tomorrow. But those problems need interventions, a very comprehensive intervention from several actors. Though that Philippe was saying at the beginning that they are working to a transdisciplinary approach. You need to involve several actors. You need to engage several actors. So social entrepreneurs per se and alone cannot solve this issue. They might contribute to something, but they will not be able to solve the hunger. They will not be able to solve the poverty because those are very complex issues. But what universities can do, and this is what I believe, is that universities can serve as a platform to connect all different actors, to engage the government, to engage students, to engage social actors, and to support through the university capacity the needs of the social entrepreneurs. This is what I believe, and this is what might be useful for them, because of course, universities are privileged, universities are neutral and are connected through several actors in society, in that ecosystem. Universities are constantly talking with NGOs, constantly talking with the government, constantly talking with financial institutions, not because social entrepreneurship, but we need to see how can we use those connections and this natural environment of the university to provide support to social entrepreneurs. In that way, knowing the specific context of Santa Marta and the Magdalena region, how can we really leverage on this? And we believe that, for instance, the ELANET project and the ELANET capacities through this network might be a good way to first build capacities at the university, but also to support social entrepreneurs. And I will give the floor now to my colleague, Philippe.
Thank you, Alberto. And yeah, I fully agree with everything that you just said. It's spot on. And definitely, I mean, also what we've seen in our own experience with the VUB chair of social entrepreneurship is that one of the approaches that you can do is the community service soliciting approach, right? Where you actually have this, comment se dice, the vertakking, like when you branch out your approach through the students, through the professors, through faculty members. And what I'm noticing also with Belgium Impact is that you need to have a dynamic perspective on how you evolve over time and how you create several instances that are similar to universities. So indeed, universities have like a natural advantage because of how they are and how they operate. They are being neutral. They are having their connections on several layers of society. But this transdisciplinary approach is, if you want, a university can create such a setting and duplicate it with different kinds of people, different kinds of ambassadors or champions that are in different sectors. And it is only if not only you have the university that's using that approach, but then also someone, for example, within the government that starts to act in the same manner as what I like to call a nexus point, someone that has branches with several other actors in society, and you start to duplicate this. And you remember from the slides that I was showing you, if you have this within all of these different sectors, and you have them not just a university that uses this approach, but you have different actors using this approach, this is really the moment that you can cover the most of what are the needs and how you can best support people in poverty or people with facing the social problems. And that's just, my 2 cents on that matter is that, I mean, it's going to take a long time. If you remember the example also with Olivier, with Close the Gap, they're working on it for 20 years. And it's only in the last couple of years that they truly are growing at a pace that is even exceeding, business speeds. So same thing here. You really are with the ELANET project at the front. You're really at the beginning, at the dawn of this wonderful journey that's going to take a lot of time and a lot of efforts to constantly engage with all the different partners and constantly try to be as engaged and as close as possible to the people that you will be supporting. And you will most probably have a lot of reflection sessions. Something that I've also seen through my own research is that you will constantly need to have a process of alignment amongst all these different supportive actors, as well as reflections, constantly finding again and putting into question the delicate balance that you have with all the different people's expectations and results that you want to achieve with this project. Just, my 2 cents on the matter. But thank you, by the way, Raul, for that very interesting question.
Thank you, Philippe. Thank you, Abel. As a university, we can treat other aspects that the government can't. Helping social entrepreneurship is not only them giving them money to grow their projects. They need to be seen and known. Therefore, it's important to sustain a space where we discover their necessities. We know and we understand that sometimes we cannot give them all the tools, money, knowledge they need, but we are this institution or that institution where they can come to get all the support they need in case they can't get it by themselves or the government. In your opinion, what are the services that ELANET prepares or Belgium Impact offers today are the most valued by social entrepreneurs? Please answer. Mientras ustedes piensan su respuesta, yo voy a consultar al equipo si hay preguntas en español desde Facebook o si alguno dentro del CIE Chat se anima a hacer una pregunta en español y con el equipo ayudamos a responderla. Now in English, is the question is clear or do you need? Okay.
Very, very clear. Thank you, Gerardo. I truly believe that, as I was saying at the beginning, the root issues for all the challenges that you can imagine, the typical challenges according to the literature, also the challenges you see on a daily basis with social entrepreneurs, the root issues of all of those is a lack of visibility and is the fragmentation of networks, of the full ecosystem, right? And the sharing or the provision, providing the information and the knowledge of actors, of events, of cases, of other entrepreneurs, which, by the way, often it is not necessarily seen as a competition. Social entrepreneurs can see themselves as some, co-opetition. It's like sometimes you can work together for something, sometimes you might be competitors. But I would say on the one hand, the mere fact that you're creating awareness and that you're offering all of this knowledge is something that is for any kind of entrepreneur already extremely useful, because you don't need to go through months of work or time to get there. You can easily already access all of this information for free. So I think that's like the first part of, what is the usefulness of what we are offering is purely giving this awareness, and it solves already part of those root issues of visibility and fragmentation. And the second activity, I would say the one that has had the most impact so far, are the interconnecting activities of, like, for example, the annual conference that we have, well, conference or Congress, we don't have a name yet for the activity, but the one where we had 500 plus participants on the webinar, with Mohammed Yunus giving us a keynote speech, with His Majesty the King, with 25 experts from the whole transdisciplinary network, giving really the opportunity for people to get to know each other, not only within their own network, not only social entrepreneurs amongst themselves, but really, truly having this transdisciplinary approach where everyone comes together. That truly has had the most impact in my perception, because this is also something that people now constantly are looking forward to during the blind dates, which we're going to transform into more thematic discussion sessions, but really giving this opportunity for people to connect with one another and to freely explain to each other what they're currently facing, what they have currently achieved, and then offer this opportunity for social entrepreneurs to cooperate with one another, because they all look for the same things. They all know that they have the same kind of challenges and same kind of issues, and it creates some kind of how do you call it, like a bond. It creates some kind of a bond or an alliance between social entrepreneurs. And by doing this, because of those kind of activities, as well as the knowledge that we provide with the platform, I think that has been the most valuable so far for the social entrepreneurs themselves.
Abel?
Yeah, I just want to, I was listening carefully to Philippe's intervention, and I fully agree. I think he has mentioned in key aspects what are the specific, let's say, challenge overall that social entrepreneurs are constantly facing, and I think the lack of visibility is one of them. In some places, that lack of visibility leads to lack of legitimacy. People don't understand who they are, or people do not recognize them as a social entrepreneurs. They come, they explain their ambitions because they start from an ambition and they want to solve a specific issue. They want to attract people. They want to, for instance, attract funding, and they go to a bank and they say, okay, this is my business model. I am a social entrepreneur. I want to work on the problem of lack of access to clean water, but the bank doesn't believe on their idea. Yeah, so this is a little bit of lack of legitimacy. They don't think the business model of a social entrepreneur will be as stable or as profitable as a business model of a traditional entrepreneur. And that lack of legitimacy, because the bank will not understand or will not believe, comes a little bit step back with the lack of visibility. If we provide that visibility to social entrepreneurs, and if we put them, of course, as visible as any other traditional entrepreneur, they will start getting a position in the ecosystem and getting a position in a society, and people will start believing in more on the useful type of business model they are providing. This is my reflection, and I fully agree with my colleague, Philippe.
Thank you, Abel and Philippe. If there is no question from the audience to our guests, in this moment, we close the transmission for Facebook Live, and I will aggregate to the person to keep in this Zoom room, because we have an internal meeting to discuss other aspects to implement in the next month at the Santa Marta area or at the University of the Magdalena area of influence. At this moment, I agree to Abel and Philippe a short words to the Facebook Live audience. En español le pido el favor a Felipe que vaya coordinando todo para ir cerrando la transmisión de Facebook Live, y a Isabela, tan pronto Philip y Abel hagan su resumen final, nos hagan una despedida, Isabela y Lili, a la audiencia de Facebook Live, para que Felipe Marco pueda ir cerrando Facebook Live. And then Abel and Philip, a short words to the Facebook Live audience.
My short words will be, of course, to say thank you to all the participants, and to again open the door and invite you to join the ELANET project, to come and talk to us, to come and support this initiative that it's only intending to provide more support and more visibility to the social entrepreneurs. I will quickly type here on the chat. I don't know if it will be visible on the Facebook, but the website of ELANET is very simple, www.elanet-se.org. So please come, see, have a look at the partners, have a look at the intentions of the project. And if you have cases, or if you know inspiring cases, please join the platform by submitting your ideas. Thank you.
Maybe on a final note, also, first of all, thank you for having me over, for giving me this opportunity to share the story and the experience I've had with Belgium Impact so far. I truly believe that by sharing, you care. Sharing is caring, definitely, and I'm really happy to see that the team is so involved and engaged in creating a meaningful impact through this platform of ELANET. I consider it a little bit the little brother of Belgium Impact, let's say. So definitely, I'm always also open to help you out if you have any questions or you want to brainstorm in one way or another. But towards the audience and the people from the Facebook live group, as well as the people here in the Zoom session, I would say be part of this moment. This project, social entrepreneurship, this phenomena is something that has been growing for the last 2 decades in a speed that is incredibly fast compared to any other kind of entrepreneurial phenomena recently. This is going to be really at the forefront of everything that is going to be more sustainable. So take this opportunity to be part of it one way or another, by simply keeping yourself informed, or by participating, by helping out, by engaging yourself in social entrepreneurial endeavors. Don't miss this boat. Don't miss it, because this is going to be as huge, as important social entrepreneurship than the SDGs are currently already. So this is a warm call to action to you. Engage yourself in with Elanet. If you want to engage yourself also with Belgium Impact. And definitely, I hope to see you soon or talk to you very soon if, you know, the possibility is there. Thank you.
Thank you, Philippe. Thank you, Abel, for inspiring us to build a better world to supporting social entrepreneurs. And the final word is by Lilibet. Lilibet, the micro is for you. Bye-bye all the friends that they connect through the Facebook Live. Bye-bye Facebook Live. Lily?
Thank you very much, Engineer. We are really pleased to have you here in our university. We are more than pleased for this amazing talk. Thank you, Philippe. Thank you, Abel. Thanks to all the people who join us here in this moment. We really appreciate every single word you have said. This is just a path. This is a huge learning to us in this world of social entrepreneurship. We are learning as a university, as engineers say before, we are just giving our little step, but hopefully in the future, they will be great because we have an amazing region to impact. And I know that in our audience, we have mentors, we have some managers, we have some teachers here are expecting the results in the future. So we aim and we are working in order to get this initiative as Elanet as a real fact in the future that will help us to build different realities in our region and in our country and every different country in which Elanet is present. And also, Philippe, thank you very much for Billion Impact for sharing us this wonderful initiative. We wish you all the best to you in this amazing, wonderful job that you are doing in Belgium. So thank you very much to all of you that join us in this CIE chat. That it was a really comfortable place to be. And hopefully we will see you in the next time. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Con estas palabras inspiradoras de Lili, agradecemos también a Isabela Noches. Aprovecho ya en este espacio, vamos a estar un poco más privado en español. Felipe Manco, bienvenido, gracias por darnos todo tu soporte. Me confirma, ya hemos cerrado Facebook Live, estamos solo Zoom. Bueno, quiero darles unas palabras finales entonces en español a todos los que se conectan por Facebook Live. Unimagdalena siempre está trabajando, siempre busca rutas para avanzar, para seguir adelante. Hemos atravesado momentos difíciles en Colombia, sin embargo Unimagdalena no ha parado, Unimagdalena sigue trabajando, seguimos haciendo estos eventos inspiradores. Les pido el favor a la audiencia que está en Zoom que no se desconecten porque vamos internamente a hacer algunas actividades que nos gustaría nos acompañaran. Entonces, Felipe, ¿qué nos cuentas de Facebook Live? Los amigos de Facebook Live, ¿cómo se sintieron? Puedes hablar, estamos en español, no hay problema.
Sí, llegó mi momento en español. Thank you so much. En este momento, pues aprovechamos para desconectarnos de la transmisión en Facebook, agradeciendo una vez más, como siempre, ustedes súper conectados e interactivos a cada una de estas iniciativas. Iniciativas que se organizan por parte de la Vicerrectoría de Investigación a través del Centro de Innovación y Emprendimiento. Aprovechando con esto, llegar a ustedes quizás están inquietos en este tema de la innovación, del emprendimiento y la invitación, pues para que sigan conectados a cada uno de los detalles a través de las redes sociales, @CIE Magdalena. Nos despedimos agradeciendo a cada uno de ustedes una vez más por estar conectados y pendientes para próximas invitaciones. Vamos a desconectarnos por el momento, pero seguimos conectados a través de las redes sociales.